Welcome to the first forum in a long time, right? So that we're really excited to be able to start this process again, along with the two different services on Sunday. So we're very excited about that. I'm Rob Hartmann, if you don't know, and I'm proud to be the chair of the 150th anniversary committee. I'm joined today by Jason West, who is our new interim director of music ministries. I know. He's so new. I don't even know who he is, right? But anyway, he's going to be joining us today, and along with Ramsey-Moor and Walter Smith, right? And Lisa Raisner. And we're going to give you a little update about what's coming during our year-long 150th anniversary celebration. So with no further ado, Jason, if you can stop talking and come up here and talk. That would be nice. Come on, you're on stage. There we go. Don't trip on any wires or we're all gonna go dark.
I move the mic up higher, so you're a little short.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, one thing. Excuse me. I gotta follow the slides. One more slide. So we started the year, of course, with a special logo for the 150th anniversary, and our theme is acknowledging our past and embracing our future. We are also celebrating the year with, if you haven't heard this before, joyful noise, prayer, and purpose. And joyful noise refers to celebrating the year with music. Prayer refers to enhancing the worship experience here. And purpose refers to building community. But all of these components really are about creating fellowship and community around worship. We are very excited and think we have something for everyone. And we're going to start now with music.
Yeah.
Joyful noise.
Good morning. So I'm going to just talk about the hymn, both text and music, to just give you an idea of what that process is. And this was new to me because I haven't been in a church where they've commissioned a hymn. I've sung many commissioned hymns. I've played commissioned hymns, but I've never actually gone through that process. So I'll give you all not the dirty things, but the process that people went through to be able to get this. So Carl, of course, who initiated this, contacted Richard Webster, who is a friend of his. He's actually by chance a friend of mine, and he told him that he wanted to commission Richard to write a hymn tune. And Richard immediately then mentioned about someone that he worked with, Melissa, Marissa, sorry. So she was, at that time, she was the administrator at his former church, which is Trinity Copley Square. Now, I guess she's now in Tallahassee. And he mentioned her because she has written a number of new texts and was not as prominent as other ones have been. And so the church gave her lots of ideas, as you can imagine, of what kind of text to include in this, to talk about St. John's, not just kind of a general praise, but some specific things that are about them, about your church. Also, some imagery ideas, as well as scripture references that they liked. They also then gave Richard some texts, or gave both of them texts and tunes that they liked. So they went through some texts in the hymnal, some newer texts that they liked, giving them some ideas and said, we like this sort of thing. We like what's talking about ministry and all kinds of things, as well as then they talked about tunes and how singable and what things they liked. And they also gave just some general ideas of what they want to have this hymn convey, both in music and in words. So they came up with a text that is quite interesting, and I've never seen this before, where the first letter of every verse, it's just fantastic having it SJ or STJN. I think it's fantastic, and even to a point of the words, like in the third verse, being able to have the word crossroads in there, so mentioning what about the church and about the ministries of this church. They liked certain aspects of it. When they started getting the text itself, Carl was integral in being able to go through and edit some things. And then when it got towards the end, Richard actually was the editor. And I guess they have worked together, Marissa and he have worked together many years of doing different texts. And he says, I'm the best editor for her, and she's a good editor for me. So they worked on that together. So then the words were set. Carl approved them. Then they had a tune. So I called up Richard yesterday, and we kind of chatted on the phone. He hadn't seen each other in a while. I said, so tell me about your process, thinking, oh, I'll learn how to do this. Because I've written a couple of tunes, but I want to find out how he does it. And he says, well, he says, what I did was I recorded myself saying it and put it in my iPhone and then put my earbuds in, and I went running. Now, he is an avid runner. He runs marathons. At 71 years old, he still runs marathons. I don't know how his knees do it, but anyway. So he said, I was just listening to it. And of course, with the hymns, there is always the rhythm of the amount of syllables are in each line. So he knew that, and he would just listen to the words and ideas would come to him. He said he'd stop and then sing into his iPhone a melody or a line or whatever. He says it's the craziest thing he's ever done. And then he'd go home and put things together. Well, he actually came up with not one tune, but two tunes. So he presented both of them to Carl. And they chose one of the two, obviously, is the one that we have. And they thought the other one was a really good tune, but probably for an anthem, maybe based on some other text or whatever, but they really liked that tune. So they picked this one. So I said, well, what are the elements that you had, said to Richard, what are the elements that you put into a good hymn tune? So he said, one is singability. Just have to be able to sing it, no matter if they're musical or not. Is there a catchy tune part of it? The tessitura, meaning the range, does it fit in there? But he says, I don't like to have it be all comfortable. He said, I like to put in a little extra note at the very top, whatever. And if you notice in the tune, there's a couple high notes that are in there. And there's also some really low notes. So altos and basses get down there. And the tenors and sopranos can sing that high note. He said it also has good contours, meaning not being all the same. There's some older hymns that we know that kind of they go about 3 notes above, 3 notes at that bottom, below, and that's about it. We love those hymns, but that's not how we write hymns today. So there's contours, he said, as well as being able to have good harmonies. So having interesting harmonies, not the same things. Again, some of these older hymns that we love dearly are kind of boring on the side, but he wanted to make his interesting. So he put some things in there. In fact, there's even one little note that has a nod to Thomas Tallis and kind of his compositions and things like that. It is towards the very end. So he put all those things in there together and then presented it to Carl. They made that choice, and then the rest is history, as they say, and putting it together. Well, they premiered, of course, they did a soft premiere at Carl's last Sunday, and then on the 20th, and of course, we sang it last Sunday. I sent Richard the recordings of it so he could hear it being sung. I think it's really fantastic to hear your own compositions being played or sung. I know that feeling too. Belcourt did a great job on my piece this morning. Being able to hear it with the brass. Now, Richard writes fantastic things for brass, but I just did some kind of simple things to make sure it didn't detract anything. And he was really pleased with how well the congregation sang it. So good for you all, learning it very much. We will sing it many times this year. And in fact, there is one verse where the choir sings by themselves, but the tenors will have the melody, but everyone else is doing a different harmonization. We didn't do that last week because we wanted to teach everyone the hymn, but we will do that later on. And he wrote a descant, Richard wrote a descant at the very end, which we did sing last Sunday. So you're going to be hearing that wonderful hymn more and more this year. Thank you.
Woo! Tall guy. Oh, there we go. Jason has got a rehearsal, and so he's taken off to do that. And actually, our next speakers also are going to be going off to the rehearsal. And Ramsey-Moor and Walter Smith. So come on up. They're going to talk to us about the series of Wednesday lay-led services that they're going to be leading. And come on up and tell us a little bit more about that and how that's going to work. And I will hand out your handout.
Excellent. Okay, so as not to have any dead space, I'll introduce myself first. I'm Ramsey-Moor, and I'm half of this team
And
here.
I'm Walter Smith. Hi, good morning.
Ooh,
I can't hear you at home unless you write into the mic.
okay, is that better?
That's better.
Okay, great. Okay, shall we repeat or not? Okay, hi. Okay, again, I'm Ramsey-Moor, and I'm half of the team that originated this stuff, and
I'm Walter Smith. Good
Yeah.
morning.
we want to just talk very briefly about why we're doing what we're doing. And there is a handout over there by the door, so that if if you're feeling kind of foggy right now, you've got that as a reminder. But basically this started with the pre-pandemic. I was not part of that, I don't believe, but you tell
Well,
them.
If you were into this stuff before the pandemic, you know that St. John's had a number of opportunities for worship and spiritual practice and experimenting with meditation and things like that that were outside of the Sunday morning services. What we're trying to do is bring some of that back, be responsive to some things that some of you said in the listening sessions with the vestry, and to other requests we've heard for opportunities for worship and meditation and so forth.
So, any questions from anybody? There are going to be approximately, 10 of these, 12? What did we figure?
Well, we've got all the Sundays in Advent and all the Sundays in, all the Wednesdays in Advent and all the Wednesdays in Lent, plus a couple of other Wednesdays that are on the calendar right now. If this turns out to be really popular, we can add some more. If people want to lead things, and I should say what we're talking about is lay-led worship, which any of you can lead. And one of the reasons we did that is the Episcopalian 101 class was asking for kind of an instructed tour of the prayer book, getting more familiar with that. And also we wanted to do things that would not place any additional burdens on our clergy. So these are lay-led things, and that means you can lead them. And in the past, we've had groups that led morning prayer, and you led some morning
Yes.
prayer. I've done some evening services, and others of you have done things, and we can do that again. So we can add more dates and more times and more liturgies as more people want them and can help us do them. But for now, we've got some Wednesday evenings scheduled. The 1st of November, the Wednesdays in Advent, the Wednesdays in Lent, and the Wednesday that's the eve of
Julian of
Ascension
Norwich.
Day, which is when Julian of Norwich is observed. That's partly for Rob because he has a soft spot for Julian, but so do I. If you don't know her, she's the saint on the Episcopal Church calendar whose mantra was, "And all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well."
So I guess we'll leave it at that. Any questions? Please let us know. We'd love to talk to you.
They're all in the calendar. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
The handout.
they're in the calendar. The handout highlights the two that are not Advent and Lent. I don't think I wrote down which ones are Advent and Lent, but we'll figure that out as we get there.
Great, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Back to the rest of Joyful Noise. Yes, go ahead. They're going to take place in the chapel at 7:30 in the chapel. Let's get back to Joyful Noise because we got some other wonderful musical opportunities. Art historian and our wonderful parishioner Joanne Allen who is also in the choir. It seems like everybody is in the choir today. Will host a special forum in November on church consecrations in the Middle Ages, which is both an art and a music presentation. So I think that would be fascinating, and I encourage all of you to come and support her in that. We have two ensembles from the celebrated Gay Men's Chorus in DC who will be performing this year. The ensembles are Seasons of Love and Potomac Fever. Also, the Jason Max preview here.
Joyful, joyful Lord, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord of love.
we also have the Jason Max Ferdinand Singers coming to do a concert with us. This is a really internationally renowned choral group, a Black group that's just been sort of famous in the choral world. But Carl was able to secure this group before he left, which was no small feat because they're in such demand across the country and have a really arduous concert schedule. Both of those concerts are going to be on Saturday evening. They're going to be ticketed events. So we encourage you all to make it like a date night or bring all of your family and friends. We'll be having receptions afterwards so you can meet the artists. Dan Ryan, a member of the vestry and a musician himself, has offered to organize and host St. John's Got Talent show in April, and we're going to have some open mic tryout sessions in the preceding months. There's a lot of talent at St. John's, and here's an opportunity to showcase it. And who knows, it could be St. John's today and America's Got Talent tomorrow, right? So give it a try. The Piscataway Nation singers and dancers are part of a special town hall focusing on acknowledging our past that Lisa Raisner will be discussing as part of our town hall series. As you can see, the Piscataway dancers, some of them, they performed at Glen Echo this summer. They're a fabulous group. So we're going to, that'll be in the sanctuary. It'll be during the time. It'll be on a Sunday at between 1 and 3. And so it's a great time to bring the whole family.
Entry dance, showing the grand beauty of our people and our culture.
Thank you. They're a lot better in person. Our next bucket of prayer is prayer. And that is enhancing the worship experience. And we've done a number of things to do that. What better way than to have the Bishop of Washington come and preside over Renewal Sunday? She gave a sermon to a standing room only crowd, which is actually tops over 400 people, both in person and online. So it was a huge, wonderful turnout for the bishop. She began the service. Here she is. And we have a lot more photos coming that you'll be seeing in Crossroads of her officiating and visiting the ministry fair that day. Let's go to the next slide. One of the things that she did to begin the whole thing was to bless our new native sassafras tree, which is facing the church to the right. This was the Eco Action team led by Lizzie Lynn Boyle, who secured the tree and got it planted with a great deal of help from Tim Dobbin. And we have, of course, a bronze plaque celebrating the tree and the occasion. And the bronze plaque says from Matthew 13:32, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches. So that's going to be hopefully a really big tree someday when you celebrate the next 150th anniversary, right? We also, of course, have a new opportunity to light a candle at our new votive candles, which are located in the tower in the Healing Prayer Ministry area. So if you haven't been, please go visit, light a candle in the quiet and the semi-darkness over there and say your prayer. There's a new bronze plaque there that reads, "Hear my prayer, O Lord, and give ear to my cry," from Psalm 39:12. It's a wonderful thing to do. I just lit my candle this morning before I came in here. We have heard already from Walter and from Anne about the Wednesday evening lay-led services. They are going to be in the chapel, and they are going to be at 7:30, and they are in the calendar. Although, as Walter noted, there's an opportunity. The calendar is in print, but not, but still flexible. So we will be adding other events during the year. And we'll be letting everybody know what those are going to be. But there is the opportunity for different services. As Walter said, they are lay-led. So if you have an idea for a service that you'd like to do on a particular time, just let Walter or Ann know. Our last bucket is purpose or building community. And here is, oh, how did I do that? You know, that is one of my favorite things. Walter and Ann are also in charge of a special recognition of a holiday that most of us don't know much about, and that is the Day of the Dead. We're going to be introducing parishioners to it in two ways. One, on the Friday before Halloween, we're going to have a movie night here for youth and family, where we're going to show Disney's classic Coco, which is a marvelous, marvelous rendition about this Mexican holiday. And we'll have pizza. We will have face skeletal painting, so that perhaps we'll have a lot of skeletons running. The forum that day will be dedicated to a discussion of Halloween, Day of the Dead, All Souls and All Saints, and sort of what do they mean to each other? What do they have in common, and how are they celebrated in different traditions? So that's going to be a very exciting opportunity. Finally, we have the drama troupe who is going to once again do a dramatic reading of the Passion on Palm Sunday. But this year we're going to add another dramatic reading on Pentecost Sunday, which is going to be May the 16th, the end of the celebratory year. Now, we are looking for volunteers. So if you would like to join us for one of those dramatic readings, what we can offer you is that we do some training, some vocal coach training. We have a professional come in who will work with you prior to those readings. And so that's available to anybody who's going to be in the reading. It's also going to be available to any people who are lectors and want to just hone their speaking skills. So we'll definitely be offering that to the parish. And now we move to purpose and building community. And Lisa is going to be talking to us about the Town Hall series, which is really the mainstay of that. Lisa, do you want me to do the slides, or you're going to try? Okay.
Good morning, everybody. So in our purpose category, we're going to have opportunities for learning, for serving, and of course, for celebrating. And I'm going to turn it back to you, Rob, for the celebrations at the end. So as part of our learning, we are going to have a 6-part Finding Common Ground Town Hall series. It's going to be Sundays, 1 to 3 p.m. in the Parish Hall. And it's brought to you by St. John's Faith in Action and the Social Justice Advocacy Committee, and proudly sponsored in part by St. John's Opportunity Shop, which has been serving the Bethesda community since 1951. The first one is Sunday, October 22nd, 1 to 3 here in the Parish Hall. And this is on addressing the root causes of food insecurity in Montgomery County. It's being hosted by our own Nourishing Bethesda. And it's featuring Gabe Albornoz, the Montgomery County Council member, and he's chair of the Health and Human Services Committee. And he's been a big friend and sponsor of Nourishing Bethesda, and he has also recently spearheaded a strategic plan to end childhood hunger in Montgomery County. Joining him will be Heather Bruskin, who is the newly appointed director of the Montgomery County Office of Food System Resilience. Jackie DiCarlo, who many of you know, she's the CEO of MANA. And Reverend Kendra Smith, who's been with us before. She is the Go Lead at Kingdom Fellowship, AME, and she's also the executive director of one of their nonprofits. Our second town hall is going to be in January, and it's supporting our LGBTQIA+ community, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And it's featuring a great panel of Reverend Will Green, who is a UMC pastor and interfaith leader in Montgomery County on this issue, accompanied by the Reverend Allie Casey Bell, who's at the UU Cedar Lane, also a faith leader on this issue. Kate Stewart is one of our newly elected Montgomery County Council members from the expanded what's it called? Regions. And she's new and has focused a lot on this issue. And then Dr. Amina Johnson, she's from Montgomery County, and she is the liaison to the LGBTQ community in Montgomery County. Then in February, on the 25th, we're going to have Reverend Adam Russell Taylor. He is the new president of Sojourners. He took over from Jim Wallace, and he is author of the book, A More Perfect Union, which is, I can't read the subtitle here, but it's a new vision for building beloved community. And this book is fantastic if people have not read it. Also, the audio book is great too. And more, as Rob said, we're going to have a town hall on the Holy Land. The Piscataway Nation is coming, as Rob talked about, and we're also going to hopefully unveil a plaque, land acknowledgement, which there'll be discernment about in the intervening months. And finally, gun violence prevention in June near Wear Orange Day. We'll have another town hall. So look out for information on those. Accompanying the town halls, we're going to have special editions of our Due Justice newsletter. I don't know if we have some of these here, but you may have picked them up last week. Oh, they're out in the lobby. That will be focusing on what St. John's is doing on the various issues associated with the town hall. And then we're also launching a new series, In Perspective, where we're going to have a more detailed analysis on the topics that we're doing the town halls on. Those will also be released in conjunction with each town hall. And then also going along with each town hall, we will have special volunteer opportunities for, it can be either an individual or a group. And Anne has a comment. Yes. Yes, Anne's pointing out that the for the folks at home that may not have heard her, that the town halls will be open to the community. Yes. Through a lot of outreach and distributed. We'll have a flyer that can go out. It will go out through all of our normal, newsletter channels. Anne has a things out. We will prepare the graphics flyers that you can post on your neighborhood. That's really effective. So Yep. And for each town hall at the beginning of the month, we'll come out with some of the materials and the flyers so that you can distribute them to everyone you know. And then we also have normal channels of distribution. And for example, Nourishing Bethesda has an email listserv of like 2,000 people. So, and I think we're now back to parties. So I'm going to turn it back over to Rob for the parties.
Thanks, Lisa. What a series it's going to be. I hadn't heard all of the detail, all of the different speakers that have been engaged for the different town halls, and it really sounds fantastic. We are going to be sending out the Due Justice newsletter to everyone by email this week. So if you want a hard copy, you can pick one up here in the lobby. But otherwise, you will be getting it in your email, and it covers almost an entire year of all of the wonderful things that have been done by all the various ministries here at St. John's. We are ending the year, and please mark your calendars with 3 big events in 2024. Boy. And one of those is going to be a party with a purpose. For those of you who've been around St. John's longer than I have, apparently this was a tradition here at St. John's that we're going to revive. And the purpose of this party with a purpose is to raise additional funds for St. John's outreach programs. So we will be giving a lot more information about that as we get closer to the new year. Also, on Palm Sunday, we're going to have a fabulous Easter bazaar here in this very room, where we are going to be selling Ukrainian gifts, things made in Ukraine by Ukrainian artists, both icons and all kinds of gifts. And all of the proceeds are going to benefit the people of Ukraine. In addition, we will have a workshop on Paisanki egg decorating, which is fascinating. If anybody's seen those are those beautiful eggs that you see down there on the slide. So you can go away with all of the things you need for Easter this year for the entire family. And I have to put out a shout out to Sandy Stradovici, who is going to be actually leading this whole effort, a member of the Ukrainian support group, but she is donating a whole lot of this stuff as a major contribution to the church and for Ukraine. So anything you buy, the proceeds go directly to the people of Ukraine. Finally, yeah, go ahead. Yes, yes, absolutely. Ann Rosowski is going to be doing the demonstration on the eggs, which is a fascinating process. But we will have some made by other artists in Ukraine that'll be available for sale. In fact, they come in their own little Easter baskets, so it's all ready. You just buy them and hand them to your friends. The last big event, which will technically end the anniversary year, will be an all-parish gala picnic, which we are aiming to do at Norwood Park, appropriately named, and nearby, so that we can actually walk there. We'll have some vans to help people get back and forth as well. Lots of activities, food, games, and it'll be just a great day for the entire family. So that pretty much wraps up what we're doing for the year. There are other ways that we're helping to build community. One of them, of course, is coming out with a new church directory. This is to remind you that you can get a lot more information during the year by all different kinds of communications devices that we have. The bulletin inserts featured on the back of the bulletins is a vignette, a little historical vignette, which we've gotten from the archives with Kathy's help. And then also, I guess, Kathy, there's a full pager like the one that came out last Sunday that's kind of like what's going on during different decades of our history. That will be an insert in the bulletin as well. But you'll be hearing about everything that's going on the 150th. Yeah. Okay. So every month there'll be that insert, which is great. So worship activities, the crossroads, the bulletin inserts, the lobby screen, which I hope you've noticed is working again and is doing a great job at doing calendar. And the website. And the website is the one we have now. We are in the process of developing a whole new website, which you'll also be hearing about. But in all of these publications, 150th activities are identified with a special 150th logo, so you know what's going on related to the 150th. So those of you that got your pictures taken on this stage during the ministry fair last Sunday, we want to thank you. We want to thank Jay Mallon for taking those photographs. And we will hopefully have another opportunity or two for people to do makeup photographs, but you're also free to send in your own photographs. You can take your own photograph and send it to me, and that will also be included in the directory. Don't forget to take a copy of the calendar with you today. There are plenty of them here on the table in front of you. As I said, it's a work in progress. It's not totally in cement. And so we will be adding more things during the year. Please join us for the next big 150th anniversary event, which is this evening in this room again at 6 o'clock. And that is the third Sunday supper. And Anne, maybe you want to say a little bit more about it. Well, actually, beginning at the third Sunday supper tonight, we will have name tags because that's one of the things we want to do throughout the 150th year. And we got a lot of comments during the whole discernment process with the vestry, is that people, it's a small community and we sort of know everybody, but you sort of don't know their name, right? And so we're going to be using a lot of name tags during the year so that people can actually remember who you are and not just what you look like. So please come tonight and join us. It's going to be a great evening. Please come and support all of the activities throughout the year. We think we've had something for almost everybody, with almost near 50 different activities that are scheduled throughout the year. And with that, I will ask anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Is that all? No, seriously, thanks so much, all of you.
You're welcome. There have been a lot of great people that have contributed, obviously, to the year, and will get recognition as we go through the year. The last thing is that we still need a lot of volunteers. If you're not already a member of the 150th anniversary committee, you can still join. And we will be needing a lot of volunteers for some of those big events that I talked about. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to work with those groups, like the Jason Ferdinand Singers. They have special needs that they have in terms of, they have to have dressing rooms, they have to have refreshments. So you kind of have to make sure that you do all those things and make it a valuable experience for them as well. Any other questions? Yeah.
What does this mean, a ticketed event?
A ticketed event. So we will be selling tickets to some of the big choral performances. We had to engage them. We had to pay for them to come to sing. So we'd like to make some of that money back. Yeah.
Get our tickets in advance?
Yes, we will be selling them in advance. Yeah. Yeah. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for coming, everybody. Appreciate it. And thank Lisa for doing this wonderful slide bank over here.